So now I'm going to take you through making music with the Launchpad. First, I've created a shortcut folder here containing lots of drum samples. To do that, I've clicked on the Add Folder link here, and I've navigated to where we saved the Loopmaster samples, in Music, Samples, and Loopmasters here. And I've taken the one-shot drum samples that I like, and copied and pasted them into the drum samples folder that I've created here. To create that, I clicked on the New Folder button here and labelled it Drum Samples. So I've selected that and I'm going to click on Open, and that will create the shortcut of the drum samples here. You can preview the samples by clicking on them. So what I'm going to do is create a drum rack. So I go to Instruments and drag Drum Rack onto the first channel. And quite quickly I'm going to load up a drum kit. So I find a sample I like and drag it onto C1. And that correlates in user mode to this button here. So I'll load up some more samples here. Again, it's something very quick. You can spend more time on this. So now my samples are here. But I'm not getting any LED feedback. So what I need to do next is in the MIDI channel here, and in the MIDI from drop down, I'm going to select Drum Rack. And in the MIDI 2 drop down, I'm going to select Launchpad Mark II and set the channel to channel 6. Finally, I need to set the monitor to in, and you should then be able to see the LED feedback. To change the color of the LEDs, we go to MIDI Effects and select Velocity. Drag that onto the MIDI channel itself. Now, if you adjust the out high setting, it changes the LED color. So next up, what I need to do is tap in a tempo, roughly to how I want it. And I'm going to adjust it to 74. Next, I'm going to go to the Edit menu and I'm going to turn on Record Quantization and set this to 16th note quantization. This means that everything that I play in will be snapped to a 16th note. I'll turn the click on here, and with that on, I've got something I can play the beat along to. I'll stop the transport panel. Then on the Launchpad, I'm going to press Mixer mode and then ensure the right channel is record armed by pressing the bottom left buttons like this. Then I simply go into session mode, hit the slot that I want to record into, jump into user 1 mode to access my drum rack and play along. Like so. Okay, so that was pretty basic, but what I'm going to do is open up the clip and adjust the start and end locators, turning them into a 4-bar loop. And I can play the drums by hitting the green pad here, which tells me there's a clip loaded. So now I'm going to add some more hi-hats by holding Alt and clicking and dragging the samples to copy them. And I'm just making the variation a little bit more interesting. What I can also do is adjust the velocity of each hit by dragging down these velocity handles. You can go into more detail here to make your beat absolutely perfect, but I'm doing this very quickly. So when I'm happy with that, I'm going to label the drum rack channel as drums. You can hit Command and R for rename, or you can right click and select rename on the channels. And this MIDI channel I'm going to call Lights. Next, I'm going to load another instrument going to load a pad in. So I'm going to click on Instruments, then Pads, and click on the pad noises to preview them until I find one I like. Now I simply drag it and drop it into the empty space to load it. I'm going to delete these audio channels because we're not using them. And I just need to write a part that suits the beat that I've just made. So I need to make sure that the third channel is record armed, so I check in mixer mode and press the appropriate red button on the bottom. Then record into an empty slot in session mode, jump into user 1 mode and play along. The LEDs act as a visual metronome here, so I can turn the metronome off, then play along. Okay, that's really simple and quick, but I'm just trying to get to the point quickly. So I'll double click on the clip and adjust the start and end points to a 4-bar loop. And you'll see in session mode I've got 2 clips now. So I'm going to play a row of clips by hitting this triangular button to the right hand side. In mixer mode, you can add send controls to the third channel and the first channel like so. Send A is typically a reverb and send B is a delay. So I'm happy with how that's sounding. So I'm going to stop all clips here now, and I'm going to add another instrument. In this instance, a bass. So I'm previewing the sounds, and I'm going to drag and drop a sound into the empty slot to load it. Then I need to write a part in user 1 mode. I can adjust the character of the sound by tweaking the 8 available parameters of the bass synth, bottom left here. When I'm happy with the sound, I'm ready to record. So I hit session mode, record into an empty clip, jump into user 1 mode, and record my part. Okay, again, I'm keeping it simple. I'm going to open up the clip and adjust the start and end points. And now I'm going to adjust the volume by going to Mixer and selecting Volume on the right hand side, and I'm going to balance my levels. This is all very subjective. I'm doing it very quickly as well, but that sounds okay to me. Next, I'm going to look for something that's going to back up my low subby bass line. So I'm going to preview some sounds. This sounds alright, so I'm going to drag and drop that into an empty space again, and I'm going to write a part that backs up the bass line. Again, when I'm ready, I jump into session mode, record into the slot, and play my part in. Okay, again, simple, but it's effective. I'll adjust the start and end points, make sure I've got a 4-bar loop there. Now I'm going to play it back. I heard a couple of notes that I want to swap around, so I'm going to edit it in the actual events window. So I didn't like this note, so I'm going to click and drag that up to the appropriate note, and also the note that followed that one I'm going to change as well. Bring that back down a couple of tones. So I'm going to have a listen to that back now. By clicking on Fold, it packs all of the program notes into one events view, so it's easier to see everything. So now I'm going to add some effects to everything and make it sound a little bit more interesting and adjust the volumes. Finally, I think I need to add some effects or some kind of other texture to the track. So I've gone into Effects here in the Simpler folder, and I'm just going to play a really simple part in. Probably add some reverb and delay afterwards. So that'll do it, that's simple enough, and I'm going to double click on it and adjust the start and end points again so it loops correctly. As I said, I'm rushing through this song just to give you an idea of how to use the Launchpad Mark II. You might want to take a lot more time over this. So in session mode, let's have a listen. So I'm now going to add an audio effect. I'm going to add a reverb and go into the special folder and select Frozen Build Up and drag that onto that effects channel, that chime channel. And I'm going to adjust the properties of that reverb to suit the track, something nice, big and spacious. And I'm going to sidechain this effect and this channel by the kick drum. So to do that, I unpack the drum folder, find the sample, the kick drum sample, which is this one. Then I need to load a compressor into the chimes channel here and have it sidechain from this kick. So to do that, I go to compressor folder and select a generic compressor. Any of these will do. Then I click on sidechain and select audio from drums. And in this drop down menu below, I select the kick drum, which is this sample here. Now I need to subjectively listen to the mix and adjust the ratio and threshold until I'm happy that kick punches through this effects channel. Now this is really subtle here. You can play with it until it's a really obvious effect to make it more of a feature, but I'm keeping it nice and simple and subtle. So that's sounding okay. I'm going to minimize the drum channel here, and you'll notice that my clips are all red. So I'm going to show you how to change the color of the clips, which will be reflected in the Launchpad. So simply right click each clip and select a color of your choice. This makes it easy to differentiate between the samples that you'll be loading when you're playing in session mode. Now all I need to do is move clips around and copy and paste them to create different sections to my song. So I'm going to bring the drums in a little later, so I'm going to move that down to the second scene or the third scene. And by holding Alt, I can also copy certain parts. So if I hold Alt here and then click and drag, it will create duplicate clips that I can build my song up with. So that's nice and simple structure. I'm going to now go into session mode, and I can individually launch clips by simply hitting them, or I can launch rows of clips or scenes by using the circular buttons on the right. Don't forget you can adjust the effects of each part throughout the performance to make it sound a bit more interesting. And at the end, I'm just going to bring the volumes of all the channels down. So there you go, is a nice simple beat made with the Launchpad Mark II and Ableton Live Lite. Thanks for watching.